Hey guys, how you doing? Hope you're well. I just wanted to drop some thought. We've been hearing a lot about Mythos from Anthropic, their new model, which at the time of me recording this, at least they've held back from public release because of concerns over cybersecurity. And I thought I'd give my thoughts. Who am I? My name is Jonny Tyers. I run a company called Threatplane. I'm an ex-hacker myself. I've been in cyber for many years, and we help customers connect their technical end of cyber to the business end of cyber, so it makes business sense. Yeah, Mythos is interesting. A lot of the talk has been around vulnerabilities, so the model's ability to find new software vulnerabilities, 0 days, and then build exploits for them and then move them on. And the word is that it's already discovered new bugs in things like, old pieces of software that have been around for a long time, the Windows stack, several Microsoft applications, etc. So there's a lot of song and dance made about this. Someone texted me and said, does this mean the NHS, which is the sort of public health service here in the UK, is that going to crumble, etc.? So a few things to bear in mind, I think, are important here. The first thing is that vulnerabilities are not new. They have always been an issue. There's been a bit of an embarrassment for the cyber world, but I mean, it's not wholly our fault, but organizations the world over of all sizes have struggled with keeping software up to date. And there are lots of reasons for that. Sometimes it's just down to negligence. Sometimes, I mean, the NHS is a good example. We've all heard that story about the MRI scanner that's in a hospital ward that is connected to, an old Windows XP machine because the machine doesn't support drivers for anything newer and the machine's service life is sort of 10, 15 years, those sorts of things. So that there are all those sorts of issues around vulnerabilities that mean that organizations have consistently failed over the years to keep software up to date. So that's the first thing, is that the threat of vulnerabilities isn't new. Now, the threat of new 0 days, it's worth zoning in on this. Yeah, that is going to make a difference, but not as big perhaps as the headlines would claim. There are 0 days found in software all the time. Some of them are published and patched, some of them are not. And the impact of those is like we already suffer the impact of those. Many intrusions, the latest version of the Verizon data breach incident report, for example, points at exploitation moving up to second place as the primary cause behind breaches, up from, and that's a big increase. So like it is coming back into fashion, the use of vulnerabilities. This was always going to be an issue for us anyway. We have more software being written now than at any time in the past. More software is being written by AI than at any time in the past. And software is being used for more and more critical business processes more than at any time in the past. Vulnerabilities were always going to be an issue in that context, even without an AI model doing the vulnerability scanning and exploitation. Just the more code there is, the more chance there is for vulnerabilities to creep in. It's just a natural law and a pretty predictable consequence of the way that more software is being written today. So that's point number one. Point number two is that Anthropic have taken a very wise step, savvy from a business perspective, but also from a cyber perspective, of only opening Mythos to a closed group of companies. And those companies include the big players in the software world. They include Google, they include Amazon, they include Microsoft, and lots of others. And this is important because what it means is that the 0 days, will not be found necessarily in new versions of Windows, because those companies will be running the model against their own software stacks. Off the back of that, they'll be creating patches, and those patches will be pushed out, and they will be publicly available. That's sort of the only way that's going to happen. Yeah, maybe there'll be some 0 days that the model finds that for national security reasons will be kept secret, but that's totally a separate topic and not something that we can worry ourselves about here. For the main use case, the main concern here, everyone's going to be sharing that vulnerability data. The third thing is that vulnerabilities is just one attack vector of many that attackers use to compromise businesses, compromise systems. So I'm much more concerned, for example, about his ability to socially engineer people, particularly companies in the West, because most of the frontier models are obviously trained on majority Western data. So English is the primary language and Western culture is prevalent, that sort of thing. So for me, AI's ability to socially engineer and at scale, something that we've already seen proliferate, is much more of a threat, because that has far bigger payback from the attacker's point of view if that can be pulled off. It's also harder to build guardrails against from the point of view of Anthropic, OpenAI, etc. And the other thing that I'm concerned about from an AI perspective is coordination orchestration. We already had very effective automation tools on the hacking side that would allow hackers to run attacks at scale. And for your standard kind of attack paths, ransomware, where there's an initial perhaps exploitation in order to get your initial foothold, social engineering from the inside out in order to laterally move, possibly more exploitation or pure social engineering in order to get privileged credentials and then exfil. All of those things they were already issues. AI takes it to the next level by making it available to a broader group of actors who don't need to be technical anymore because they don't need to automate it. They don't need to be coding automations in the same way. And B, it's much more adaptive. So rather than taking a fairly hard A, B, C, D, E, F set of steps in order to attack a target, they can be much more A, or maybe the second version of A, maybe the third version of A. Try this vulnerability. If that doesn't work, try this vulnerability. If that doesn't work, which means you can start to do targeting like, if this is an M365 tenant, go down this route. If they're self-hosted Active Directory, self-hosted Windows, go this route. And obviously that adaptation can be pretty flexible. So, you can start to really, you can start to have a single campaign that actually has a very wide surface area in terms of its hit rate, which for the attackers directly translates into economics and sort of the ability to get more bang for your buck. So yeah, those are just some brief thoughts about my thoughts. It's not everything, and I'm keen to hear your views. So comment down on the video down below. Might be keen to hear your feedback. But yeah, have a nice day, everyone. Catch up soon.